I've been reading a lot of bad news lately. I don't mean that a lot of bad things are happening that are newsworthy, that's obviously true. I mean that I've been reading a lot of news that is really poorly done. Just flat out bad journalism. As a former journalism teacher who no longer has a classroom full of students who we can force to listen to him complain about something, I figured I'd just yell into my camera for a couple minutes. Check out this article about a couple who were stranded on their honeymoon due to COVID-19 shutting down flights and borders. It talks about how they were the only vacationers left at their resort on an island in the Maldives, and mentions how a full staff waited on them hand and foot. It's a fun, entertaining article. I'd love to be stranded on my honeymoon. So what's the problem? Well, I don't like the expression there are two sides to every story, especially when it comes to news, because it's usually a gross oversimplification of a deeper problem in journalism. I'll get to that in a different video down the line. But that expression applies here because there are exactly two sides to this story, because there are two separate groups of people who are stranded at this resort. The first is the couple on their honeymoon, who, in the words of the article, reign like benign yet captive sovereigns over their islet. The second group is the seemingly over a dozen employees who are expected to serve and wait on this couple hand and foot. So the problem is that only one side of the story is even told. Not one of the many men and women who were forced to continue working on this island to serve this couple on their honeymoon was even interviewed for this article. They should have been allowed to leave work to go home to safely prepare for self-isolation with their families, and they weren't. That's the story. This is a good example of a bigger problem in journalism. When given the opportunity to choose only one of two stories to tell, news organizations tell the story of the more powerful of the two sides, which further marginalizes and takes the voice away of the least powerful members of society. How about this other article? It says that potentially 140 people were exposed to COVID-19 by two hairdressers at a salon in Missouri. I've checked 5 different versions of this story from a variety of sources, and the news talked to clients who were upset that the hairdressers came into work. They provide a statement by the salon owners. They talk to the director of the county health department. These articles tell the story from many sides, but which side is missing? The story from the hairdressers themselves. Wouldn't it be good journalistic practice to ask them why they came into work? Isn't it important to hear their perspective? Maybe they only came into work because they couldn't afford not to. Isn't that important to know? And this is another problem in the news. Far too often when poor or working class people are the focus of a news story, it's because they're being blamed for something. In this case, the potential spread of the pandemic. Again, when given the choice of which side of the story to tell, news organizations almost never choose the side of working people, who may have only shown up to work sick because they didn't have the option not to. There's a quote I like that I think is actually incorrectly attributed to George Orwell, but I like it either way. It goes like this: news is what somebody doesn't want you to print. Everything else is advertising. Reframing these stories to put working people at the center and allowing them to tell their stories about why they're expected to wait on these honeymooners or why they have to go into work even though they're sick would potentially make powerful people uncomfortable. The resort owners don't want their employees to be the focus of this article. The salon owners don't want their hairstylists telling the news that they only came into work because they were forced to. If nobody is made uncomfortable by these articles, then they are not news. Only when you're challenging power are you writing something newsworthy. That's journalism. All the rest is just PR. So, how do you read the news? Read whatever articles interest you, that's fine. But look for the people whose side of the story isn't being told. Who are the people the reporter didn't even bother to ask? What do you think their side of the story is? If you've been seeing news articles over the last couple of weeks about looting or police officers taking a knee with protesters, think about the story that isn't being told. That black people are tired of being murdered by police officers who then face no repercussions for their crimes. That's the story. Everything else is just bullshit designed to keep you from questioning people in power. This lesson will continue on Wednesday, on Writing Wednesday, by examining how news organizations use grammar to push their agenda and how you can make your writing stronger by doing the exact opposite of what they do. So I'll see you Wednesday, and in about 2 weeks, on Tuesday, June 30th at 7 p.m. Central, we'll be live discussing The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. There's still time for you to pick it up and begin reading it. I just started it yesterday. It's a great read so far. June 30th, 7 p.m. Central. I hope to see you then.